2024. And this is against earlier projection that would record a lower than 5% growth in this calendar year. And is projected at 5.3% by end of 2025 and 2026. Inflation rate, as Honorable Mbadi has spoken about, has eased from an average of 4.3% in July 2024 to 4.1% in July 2025, and now is at 4.6% in September, largely driven by the seasonal changes in vegetable prices. And as a result of this is as a result of tightened monetary policy and also significant declines in energy prices and continued easing of food prices. We'll again engage in a conversation whether it is still relevant to work with the non-core inflation, or we should focus on core inflation when we are coming up with monetary policies to manage inflation. CBK has gradually eased monetary policy by lowering the CBR rate from 13% in July 2024 to 9.5% in August 2025. In the financial year 2025-2026, revenues are projected at 3.321 trillion, which is 17.2% of GDP. Of this, ordinary revenue is projected at 2,754 billion, which is 14.3% of GDP. Expenditures are also projected at 4.269 trillion, which is 22.2% of GDP. And we are projecting a fiscal deficit of 901 billion, that is 4.7% of GDP. By end of June, public debt stock stood at 11.7 trillion shillings, which is 67% of GDP in nominal terms, comprising of 46.1% external debt and 53.9% domestic debt. Public debt to GDP ratio is projected to decline to the debt anchor of 55 plus or minus 5% of GDP in present value terms by 2030, supported by our medium-term fiscal consolidation efforts. I know in law it is 2028, but we are being more realistic on the time that we are likely to achieve the debt anchor. Growth in private sector credits from the banking system has continued to improve and stood at 3.3% in July 2025 compared to negative 2.9% in January 2025. So in a period of about 6 months, we were able to reverse the dangerous trend where we were seeing contracting of credit extension to the private sector to now a positive 3.3%. The exchange rate to the US dollars has stabilized, as you know, in the 128 to 130 Kenya shillings range since January 2024. Economic recovery, stability in the exchange rate, and the macroeconomic stability have created confidence and triggered. It is now. Credit ratings, as other speakers who have spoken ahead of me have stated, shapes development finance and is a vital part of the financial development ecosystem. A stronger sovereign rating is a catalytic milestone because it lowers the country's perceived risk profile across international capital markets, directly reducing the cost of borrowing and widening the pool of available financing. This calls for effective engagement with credit rating agencies. However, effective engagement with ratings agencies requires transparent, consistent communication and strong coordination. Further, rating defense requires a well-prepared narrative that acknowledges risks while demonstrating clear, actionable responses, especially when seeking positive rating adjustments. And this calls for a diverse stakeholder participation, coordination, and proactive engagement with investors. To strengthen the credit rating reviews, it is important for the government and its stakeholders to work as a team. This can be achieved through interactive role-play simulations and expert feedback. reflecting real-world rating agency engagement scenarios designed to mirror typical engagements with rating agencies. This workshop or forum offers that opportunity. And once I finish my official speech, I will make some off-the-cuff remarks where I will demonstrate some of these examples. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this gathering is not a routine meeting. It is a pivotal moment in our national economic journey, a journey that now stands at the threshold of profound change, especially among or coming after the Seville Conference on Development Financing. As you may be aware, in 2014, Kenya attained the status of a lower middle-income country. This transition was a testament to the resilience of our people and our economy, the ambitions of our reforms, and the determination of the Kenyan government to attain the aspirations of the Vision 2030. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, progress brings also with it new realities. And the reality is that the improvement in status gradually phased us out of eligibility for highly concessional borrowing, a financing avenue still available to many low-income countries. This reality emerges at a time when our development financing needs are expanding and the global pool of concessional resources is tightening. Therefore, we must now prepare to compete more strategically on the international capital markets, strengthen domestic resource mobilization.
Well, if you're just joining us, that is the current scene in Mombasa County. You do know that the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, that is John Mbadi, is currently attending a workshop on strengthening sovereign credit ratings in Kenya. And of course, that will run from the 6th all the way to the 10th of October at the Flamingo Pride and Beach Resort and Spa in Shanzu, that is in Mombasa County. And of course, participants will include officials from the National Treasury being led by their CS